Welcome to Art Ed Radio, the podcast for art teachers. This show is produced by the Art of Education, and I'm your host, Tim Bogatz. Jen Leban is going to be joining me today. You all know Jen, director of the Art of Ed Community, and we're going to share some of our community's best advice for new teachers. And you may have heard our mailbag live from Chicago at the beginning of the month. And after we were done recording that, we also spent some time at the conference talking to all different teachers from across the state of Illinois and getting some of their best advice as well. So you're going to hear some of those clips as well as we move through the episode today. So in this episode, we're going to highlight some of the best advice we heard, just honest, practical guidance about classroom management, routines, burnout, finding your confidence, and everything in between. And Jen is going to help me unpack these stories. We're going to share some of our insights, and she'll talk a little bit more about the community, our favorite space online for teachers to connect, ask questions, share their wins, and get the support that can sometimes be hard to find when you're one of the few art teachers around. So we're very excited to listen to all of this advice, very excited to discuss it all, and let's dive into the episode. All right, Jen Leban is now joining me. Jen, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well also. Thrilled to talk to you. It's always fun to talk to you, but I'm excited about this podcast. I talked in the intro a little bit about just the idea of paying things forward and helping people out with our best advice. And we got so much good advice from everybody at the Illinois Art Educators Association conference. It was great talking to everybody. So as I said, we'll hear some of those clips today. How was the conference for you? You were there. You made a quick cameo in our live podcast recording, but yeah, how was the conference for you overall?
I love conferences in general. Like, I just like getting to meet people, I don't know, in real life, which is weird because I'm such an introvert, but I do love conferences and I love networking. And I think that I get the best nuggets of advice and information from conferences, just those informal conversations.
Yeah, and I love, just the chance to sit down and talk to people, to meet people. Like you said, that is the best part of it for me. So I always appreciate that. And before we hear from everybody, though, I have a few questions for you. Just, I don't know, I guess reminiscing. So like, if you think back to what it was like for you as a first year art teacher, what was that experience like? What can you tell me about your first year, your first years as an art teacher?
I think I need to couch it by saying that my first year was in 2001.
Okay, 2002 for me. So
yeah,
right
so you
there.
need some of that context, that time. But it was really hard to find a job at the time, first of all. Like, it was just, there weren't a lot of art teacher jobs around. Very different from now.
Yep.
So I was just so stupid excited to like have a job. Like, I remember walking down the hallway, like during my plan period, with just like this huge grin on my face. Like, I can't believe I get paid to do this. Like, I was so young and excited. But I would equate it to like, you know, when kids do the mile run and they like take off and don't pace themselves and then they're like, that was me my first year. So excited. And then I was like, oh no, too much, too fast.
I love it. I had a very similar experience too. Like you said, it was worth celebrating just having a job because they were few and far between. But for me, it was just really overwhelming. Like, I got overwhelmed very quickly. And part of that was my job. I had a lot of schools to visit. I had a lot of students to see, big numbers. So that was a lot for me. But at the same time, I think kind of being thrown into the deep end really helped. You know, it forced me to figure a lot of things out, from classroom management to supply management to how I was going to teach things, and just all of the logistics, all of those things that, you know, you want to figure out eventually. I was forced to figure those out really quickly my first year. And so in the long run, it was a good experience, but that first year was really, really overwhelming for me.
For sure. I can't even imagine. No, I was one building. I had a very cushy, nice job. I mean, I appreciate it now looking back.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you though, getting excited, feeling overwhelmed, all of those things that come with that first year, like there's a lot to navigate, a lot to manage. Was there a point there or a point a few years down the road that you kind of felt like you had a handle on things? Like when did you get to the point where like, oh, I know what's going on. I know what's happening now.
Well, the snarky part of me is like, no,
You've
that never
never figured
happened.
it
I never
out.
feel like I know what's going on. But I mean, I think a big turning point for me was the first time that like one of the education trends like that were hot when I first started and then kind of went away and then it
Yeah.
came back like rebranded as
Yes.
another thing. That was like light bulb moment for me. I was like, wait a minute, I get it now, so I was like, yeah, I know what's going on here. That was it
Well,
for
I
me, I
was
think,
gonna
when I
say
realized like, oh, this
it's
is the
like
same.
fashion, like if you just wait around long
Mhm.
enough, it's coming back around. And same thing with ideas in education,
Yes.
and those ideas, those trends are coming back around eventually. And that's when you feel like a veteran teacher, is when you see those
Mhm.
things a second time. Okay, so let me shift this way, because we're gonna hear a lot of advice from people. And I don't know if this qualifies it as advice, but I'll ask you, in your teaching experience, what do you wish you had learned earlier in your career, or what do you wish you had known earlier in your career?
Well, this one's a little bit bittersweet. I'm going to keep it short, but I wish I had had the courage to try something new or move to a different school or a different
Mm,
position earlier. I had a lot of like teacher guilt, and I felt very loyal and like obligation. And like I said, I had a really good job. It was a cushy. I say cushy, as cushy as a teaching job could get. I was in one building and I had a really nice
yeah.
room with 4 sinks. So in
Oh,
the art
that's
teacher
good
world, that's
stuff.
cushy. So I let that fear of what might be like hold me back for a long, long time before I finally made the jump. And I
Mm,
just wish I had done that sooner. I wish I had more of my own self confidence and like internal sense of worth to do that. Because when I finally did, I wish I had done it sooner. That's all.
interesting. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you found like 15 different jobs in 15 different years, right? Like you've been everywhere.
Yeah. Well, maybe not 15, but
No, I
I've
know.
bounced around and done some different things, but I've done some really amazing things. I mean, and it landed me here ultimately, which is like the best place ever. And
No, I love that. And I will just say on the flip side of that, this is not to be contrarian or counter to you, but
mhm.
I was in the same district for 15 years before I moved to the Art of Ed. My wife is still in the same district, over 20 years now. And there's a lot of benefits that come with that too, just as far as knowing people, being known, and just being a part of the community, being a part of the district. That can go a long way too. So, I don't know. It's interesting as we're recording this for new teachers. Like there are benefits to continuing to move until you find the right thing. But if you have something that you think is good, there are definitely benefits for staying in it for the long haul as well. So I think
For sure.
that's kind of interesting. But I was gonna say the thing that I wish I had learned earlier was knowing my signs of burnout. Like I burnt myself out really badly once I started
Yeah.
teaching high school, because I was like, oh, I got to get this program going. I want all these opportunities for my kids. I want this experience for them. And I wish I would have realized that my kids can have like 90% of that experience if I'm doing about half of the work. Like they're just went above and beyond for so many things, and that doesn't need to be the case. You can't burn yourself out to run the perfect program. Like you can run a pretty good program with a reasonable amount of time, and I wish
Oh,
I
yeah.
had gotten to that point in my career a lot sooner.
I mean, I think about my own experience as like a high school student, and like we hardly had an art department. I don't remember it being bad. Like I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved my art class.
Yeah.
So I didn't need all. I didn't know I didn't know what I didn't have, and I had a fantastic experience. So yeah.
No, that's an important point, and it really is, because I think there are so many things that we think we have to do for our kids, and it's great if you can do them. It's great if you find the time, but you
Mhm.
can't feel guilty for not doing those things.
No.
All right, so all of that being said, we also have some great advice from so many teachers that we talk to. And as we said, these recordings are all from the Illinois Art Educators Association conference. And we talked about a lot of great stuff, but I was able to ask a lot of people, what is your best advice for new teachers or somebody who's early in their career? So this first one is going to be from Michael.
For me, it's not overcommitting yourself. You're so filled with energy when you begin teaching, you want to do everything. But it's one of those things you have to realize what you're doing is what you're going to be doing for a while. So, like, it's taking time for yourself. It's not volunteering all of your time. It's not doing a million different clubs. Really, like, focusing on being successful in that first year and getting everything down that you need to, and then kind of like move forward and not just, like I said, it's so easy to want to give all your time and things. And for your own sanity, after you've been doing it for a while, it's really important that you take care of yourself.
Okay, Jen, reaction to what Michael had to say.
Well, basically, I just said this is the one that all new teachers are told, and I'm pretty sure absolutely zero of us listen to it. And then we all look back and wish that we had. That's pretty much what,
absolutely.
Great advice. We just don't take it.
Yep. Yep. And like that's literally what I just talked about as far as trying to do everything because you want to have that incredible program. But like you said, not overcommitting yourself. It's so hard to do because, like you talked about at the beginning, like everything is so exciting. You're like, I love this job. I want to do it all.
You're excited. You have that adrenaline. You're like, we mean well, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a new teacher, you want to make a good impression. You want to make a good impression on your colleagues, on your admin, on your students, on the community, and you feel like you have to be a part of everything in order to do that. And that's not actually the case. And so for any new teachers that are listening to this in the middle of their first year going, oh, I signed up for way too much. I'm very sorry for you. And that will pay dividends. But like Michael said, if you can find some time to take for yourself, if you can find some ways to sort of ease off and not volunteering all of your times, I think that can be really beneficial, and taking care of yourself pays off a lot in the long run. So I think that is some really, really good advice.
For sure.
Okay, our next comment is from Laura.
Never bluff. Never bluff. Say what you mean what you say. Be kind about it, but don't let your kids roll over you, because they will if you let them. You know what I mean? So it's like a fine line between kindness, which you want, but classroom management and maintaining control is very important, because you can't teach if your room is a chaotic place.
All right, so I really like this one, not only as a teacher, but as a parent too. Like, this is one of my philosophies as a parent is say what you mean what you say. And because of this, I never threaten to do anything if I'm not prepared or able to follow up on it. So you'll never hear me say, like, if you do this, we're not going on vacation. Because that's like, I'm going to still go on vacation. But like, sometimes you hear parents make these like idle threats that they're not going to carry out. So that's just, I've been like always hyper aware of that. So like, if I tell you I'm sending you out into the hallway if you do something again and you do it, I am definitely sending you out into that hallway. And people know. And the bonus is that it does like earn you that reputation and possibly like respect from like your admin too. Like, if Mrs. Leban said you're in trouble, you must have really done something bad for her to, like that. And I kind of like that. I mean, good, bad, whatever. I appreciate having that kind of a reputation. And, I also like this advice, the fine line between, kindness and classroom management and maintaining control and all that. I like it because we get caught up in our feelings, or at least I used to get really caught up in my feelings. And sometimes I would feel really out of control, to the point where I would forget, like, I'm the adult in the room. I have the power. Yeah. I have the control to change the situation. I don't just have to put up with it. If the kids are acting like a bunch of crazy feral cats, I can say, hey, we're going to switch seats. We're going to have a different assigned seats today. Or, hey, we're going to change up this strategy or this routine. Like, I can do that. I'm the one in charge now. You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes just that realization, you're like, oh, wait, I don't have to fall victim to this situation. I can actually take the reins and do something about it. Like, it's easy to forget that sometimes.
That's easy to do, and just having that mindset of, I'm in charge. This is my classroom. That
Yeah.
that can be really, really helpful. As far as classroom management, though, and what Laura had to say, I think you need to find the balance for what works for you, because you'll hear people like, "Hey, you have to be really hard on them at first, or you have to
Yeah.
do this." No, you have to do what works for you. Okay? You need
True.
to stay true to yourself, your personality. More than anything, you need to remain authentic. If you're not somebody who wants to yell, why would you yell at your kids? If you're not somebody who gets super worked up,
Yeah.
continue to stay calm, and that's what's going to work. And I would just say, don't follow somebody else's plans, don't follow somebody else's advice if that's not going to work for you.
For sure.
And, a lot of times people say you need to control your classroom. And I don't know if that word necessarily works for me. I
Yeah.
think you just, what that is for me is just like efficient routines and efficient procedures. Your
Yeah.
kids know what they need to do when they need to do it, and then what to do when they're done.
Yeah.
And I think if you get those routines and procedures down, if you focus on those, that's going to give you the control and the classroom management that you need. And yeah, I think just having a clear idea of what you want to do with all of that can be really, really beneficial for how you want your room to run.
I do think that's one of those things you get better at over time though too. Like
Yes.
maybe in your first
Yes.
year you don't know what your thing is, but you kind of get into that groove. So what it made me think of was that when I had a student that was misbehaving, a lot of times I could go over to them and just be like, "What am I going to say to you right now?" And they would look at me and they go, "I should probably get back to my work." And I'm like, "Cool, do that." And then I just walk away. Like, because
Yes,
I didn't even need
absolutely.
to, because they knew the routines, they knew the expectations, they knew when they weren't
Mhm.
doing it. So it's like I didn't
Yeah.
need to yell at them for it. They knew what they were doing. Knock it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say most kids know what they're doing wrong, and every once in a
Yes.
while, especially middle school, like
Yeah.
they'll be like they have no idea what's going, they have no idea what they're doing. But for the most part, you can walk over and be like, "Hey, what
Hmm.
what are you doing right now? What are you supposed to be doing right now?" And
Yes.
they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, as you mentioned, that's something that comes over time, something that they have to build
Yeah.
up to, and that's actually a really good segue into our next piece of advice. This is from Sarah.
It's hard, but try to focus on one thing at a time, one day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time, because it's all very overwhelming. But the longer you do it, the more you have your life together and the better you're going to be at it, 1 minute at a time.
I love that. The longer you do, the better you're going to be at it. And, my best advice there for new teachers is just be patient. Be patient with all of the things. There are things that are going well. Celebrate those. There are going to be some things that you are struggling with, and be patient with those. Like, it will come together, but it's something that you have to learn. It's something that you have to develop over the course of time. And as long as you're reflecting on that and thinking about how you can get better, and you're aware that this needs to get better and you want to work on it, then it's going to be great for you. So just focus on one thing at a time, like Sarah said, and it will come together, but it can take some time.
For sure. I was Todd, my husband Todd, one of his favorite sayings is think big, start small.
All right, next up is from Michelle.
Ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to not know an answer from even classroom teachers, office staff. Reach out to other art teachers in the district if there are any. If not, find a social media group that you can reach out to support, get ideas, because it's a lot easier to do this with a group.
All right, Jen, do you have any comments, suggestions of where people might go to reach out to other
Hmm.
art teachers?
I wonder where teachers could go. Yeah, I listened to this one and I was like, "Hey, over here. Hi, it's me." Yeah, so I feel like this was not a plant. Like this just happened, this particular input here. But we
Just
have the
happens to be the
I,
perfect runway for you to
happens
talk
to
about.
be the perfect segue, yeah, into my commercial. So the Art of Ed community is here for you. When I was in the classroom, middle school, the only teacher in my building, so it's hard to find a group that you can reach out to for support and ideas. The Art of Ed community is our place to be, and we even have separate spaces in the community for middle school teachers, for high school
Yes.
teachers, for
Yes.
so if you have concerns that are specific to that group, which a lot of times in the middle school teacher group, because that was my life, is we're like, hey, what are the best group projects for middle school level? Because
Yes.
even though sometimes you can take a project and scale it for high school or elementary, there are certain things that just fit that really weird, awkward,
Yeah, they just work
self-conscious.
for that age. Yes.
Yes, weirdness. Yeah, all that middle school. So yeah, basically come to the Art of Ed community, ask us all your questions because we have a full range of new teachers. We got all the way to like teachers that are retired that just want to still stay involved and contribute somehow. And then you've got the weirdos in the middle like me, and we can all kind of, share different advice, and you kind of take what works for you, leave what doesn't, but it's just good to have that sounding board that you can kind of hop back and forth from.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I love that range from new teachers to retired teachers and everything in between. And it is just coalesced into this amazing community. And it's a great place. Even if you don't want to comment or ask questions at first, come read. Come see what other teachers are talking about, what they're asking about, what they're learning about. And there are going to be some things that apply to you. I want to hone in on one thing with Michelle's answer. She said, don't be afraid to not know an answer. And I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast before. When I first started teaching, especially at high school, I thought I had to know everything. I thought I have an answer. I was afraid to tell kids I don't know. And that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Well, not huge. It's not that dramatic. Like,
Yeah.
as my kids would say, it's not that deep. But the idea is that it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I need to look into that. And it's okay to ask those questions. And I would encourage everybody to continue to ask questions, whether that is with admins, with other teachers, with art teachers in the community, or even just with your students. Just ask questions and figure those things out. And don't be afraid to not know an answer. That's great advice from Michelle.
One of our community members name dropped an artist that I felt like I was supposed to know, and I did not know. And I was like, well, I'm going to go Google that, found it. And I just dropped the link to the Google, right in the chat, right in the conversation community. I was like, well, I didn't know about this person, but I know a lot now. And I agree that I think they're an amazing artist. Here's some more information. So if anybody else was in my position, they didn't have to feel silly. I'm willing to put myself out there and be like, I don't know.
No, it's good. And that's a great way to pay it forward too, because, if you have a question, you're not the only one who has a question. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask it. And if you're answering, don't be afraid to pass on that information. That's good. Sure. All right. Now, our final comment today is from Catherine. Okay, and let's hear what Catherine has to say.
You don't have to reinvent every art project. There are so many wonderful projects already out there. Teachers love to share them. Use them. You can always change them or accommodate them to your students, which is something you have the capability to do. But don't feel like you have to reinvent every single art project and be creative every single day. Give yourself grace. Take a breath of air. Other teachers came before you, and they have done some amazing work. Give them some grace as well.
All right, there's a lot of great stuff there. I love the idea of giving yourself grace, and other teachers came before you, but they've done amazing work. Give them grace. Like that's perfect. That is great from Catherine. And I was just gonna say, just the only thing I would add is there's a reason we've all been teaching contour drawing the same way for decades. Like it works. It's a great way to get kids to learn how that's done. And there are always things that you can add on to. There are always things you can change. There are always things that you can do yourself. That's another thing that comes with time, though. Like, there's nothing wrong your first few years with doing those tried and true projects that work. And then when you figure out, oh, hey, I'd like to do something different with that, you can get to that eventually. But for now, you definitely do not need to reinvent everything. You can do so much with what's out there already, and just leaning on people who have come before you can really make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. I just thought I have a bit of an art teacher hack for that. Like, you're a brand new teacher and you don't have like a laid out curriculum for you. You don't have those resources. One of the things you can do in your first year is teach the same lesson to multiple grades because they're not going to know that they didn't, like
Right.
so here's what I mean. Teach kindergarten and first grade the same lesson.
Yes.
Teach 2 and 3, teach 4 and 5, the same lesson. So you're only planning 3 projects instead of 6
Instead
projects.
of
And then
6, yeah.
in your second year, you just have to add 3 more. You just keep
Yep.
it for that other. So make it easier on yourself because especially if you walk into like nothing, which a lot of I know in elementary you might be like there wasn't a program and then all of a sudden you're the new art teacher and we have a
Yes.
program and you have no supplies or anything, really seriously, you can use what's already there. Don't do all the things isn't that our lesson here in today's conversation? Don't do all the things all the time, Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's it. I mean, the only thing I would add to any of this is that I am a strong believer in doing the project yourself. Optimally before you do it with the kids, because it's easy to go online and find some ideas or find some lessons and you're reading off the lesson, but it's totally different when it becomes hands-on. So you could just do the project along with the kids because you need the perspective of doing the project from a student viewpoint so you can identify where there could be misunderstandings or maybe directions aren't clear. I think just blindly going into a project is never a great idea. And if it is hot garbage, don't be afraid to trash it and switch gears and do something else. That's okay too.
Yeah, it's okay to scrap it. We had a long discussion about that on a mailbag a couple months ago. When do you scrap a project? And it's always okay to do that. And then just one last thing about curriculum, I would be remiss to not mention the Art of Ed's Flex curriculum, all planned, tried and true lessons, which fit in exactly with what we're talking about here that teachers have done before. You still want to work through them, but if you have that in your district or if you can get your district to purchase that for you, it can be a huge help when it comes to curriculum planning and finding the lessons that you need there. So, all right, Jen, we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming on, chatting with all of these teachers in Illinois for me and offering some advice and building on what they had to say. So thank you so much for all of that.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is going to do it for today's episode. A huge thank you to Jen and a huge thank you to all of the amazing teachers at the Illinois Art Educators Association Conference for sharing their wisdom, not just those that you heard from in the episode, but everybody who sat down and talked to us and everybody who welcomed us there. Now, if you are listening to this and you're a new teacher or you're feeling overwhelmed or you just want more people in your corner, remember, you do not have to do this alone. Okay, the Art of Ed community is the place to ask questions like we talked about today, to workshop ideas, to get feedback, to connect with art teachers at every level. Like Jen said, we have brand new teachers there. We have retired mentors who are eager to talk to you and support you. And we have everyone in between. It is a safe, positive and genuinely helpful space, and we would love to have you join us. You can go to community.theartofeducation.edu, or we will link in the show notes. And if you're looking for more guidance right now, don't miss our mini series called What Do New Teachers Need to Know? A set of all different episodes that I did with Janet Taylor about curriculum, classroom management, professionalism, all of those different things that can be incredibly helpful in your first years. So make sure you check those out. And no matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, we are going to have resources that can help you. So thank you so much for listening. Continue to take care of yourself and continue to take care of your students. Art Ed Radio is produced by the Art of Education with audio engineering from Michael Crocker. Thank you, as always, for listening. We would love for you to share this podcast with someone else who may enjoy it. You can also leave us a 5-star rating and review. That is another great way to help other people find the show. Thank you so much for doing that, and we will talk to you next week.